Walk up there any further, man. You're going right by the black place, man. What are you asking to be dead?
Anti-Klan. Jam to go the other way, man.
Fox Klan.
I remind you that the press, the electronic media, are giving them an awful lot of free advertising. I remind you that the Committee for Racial Equality was given a few seconds, and 2 minutes were devoted to our interview with the leader of the Klan.
October 4th, 1980, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
It is a committee of a loose alliance of over 30 organizations, all committed to struggling against racism and fascism. I am the chairperson of the Committee for Racial Equality, and my name is Louis Feldhammer.
Okay, thank you.
This rally and march is merely a kickoff in a campaign to get the Klan.
November 8th, 1980, London, Ontario, Canada.
I'd like just briefly to remind us of the kind of people we're dealing with. Members of the committee have received phone calls anonymously threatening their lives. These are the kind of slime, the kind of reprehensible ogres and monsters and subhuman SOBs that we're dealing with. They're reprehensible cowards who advocate murder and violence in the dark.
Alexander McWhirter, National Director of the Canadian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
Blacks, non-whites, Jews, all have particular organizations that work directly for their protection of their heritage, their rights, their culture. We, in the white race, believe we have that right also.
Of this country.
Dudley Laws, leader of the Albert Johnson Committee Against Police Brutality.
We have a duty to change society. It is our responsibility to work very hard in banning a group of individuals who have over the past 70 years have committed not less than 10,000 murders throughout the United States and Canada. And yet we hear from the Premier and from the Attorney General of this province that the Klan must commit a crime before they can be banned from this country. We are saying they have committed enough crime and they should be banned now.
These communists who attack us, who want to take away our freedom of speech, they must remember that they have been responsible for more horrendous crimes that we can bring up. 60 million white Christians were murdered as a result of the Russian Civil War and the communist takeover of the Tsarist regime. Even with this history behind the communist movement, we are not asking for their freedom of speech to be curtailed. We believe everyone should hear them for what they are.
Join the march, mass the Klan! Join the march, mass the Klan! Join the march, mass the Klan!
As a representative of the Communist Party of Canada, we are proud to be part of the organization and part of this rally.
We want to protect our culture. We want to advance our race in terms of science, medicine, technology, our systems of laws and education, the democratic principles of which we strive for. All these things we believe are intrinsic to us as white people. Non-whites have the same opportunity to work for their interests, and I wish them well in it. We oppose the government's pro-minority, anti-white policies. We wish to see the government of this country reflect the ideals, the interests, and the aspirations of the white majority. Our first objective is to become a lobbying group, to organize the white people to work for their interests and speak to the government and say, look, we have rights too.
I heard that the Klan takes care of...
Doug O'Hare, chaplain of the Canadian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
Once you become a member of the Klan, like any Scottish Klan, or back in the old days, in the true order of a Klan, anybody who you have accepted as a Klansman is your brother. And you look after him, his interests are your interests. Your interests are the white race and the Klan. The Klan is the white race.
November 2nd, 1980, Toronto.
Each community in this country should have the opportunity to decide whether or not they want to be a multiracial community or in this country. If non-whites can live happily among their own people without white people ramming their culture down their throats and this constant problem of integration and riots that the Americans have seen.
Canadian Black Nationalist Richard Dildy.
Well, I do think that black nationalism should be the main thing among blacks, because this means to organize to become sort of a nation, and I think we need a black nation. We are a nation within a nation, but we're constantly begging white people, let me have your job. We should create jobs for ourselves and say that
into this province to take away the efforts from minority groups from dealing in the political change. Racism destroys the energies of society. Racism destroys the initiatives of the people.
well, I can't be opposed to racists because I'm a member of a certain race, the black race. So I am a black racist myself. So to be opposed to a racist means to be opposed to my own self.
What do you think of white racists such as the Klan?
White people have a right to be racist if they want to be racist, but I'm not going to kiss their bum or their rectum trying to beg for their favor.
I'm a positive racist. I'm working in the interests of my own people. Just as a person who works for the interests of the black races is a racist, a member of the National Black Coalition, working for his own race's interest, he's a racist. A member of the B'nai B'rith, who's working for the interest of Jewish people, well, he's a racist for Jews. A member of the Korean Businessmen's Association is a racist because they're working for the interest of the Korean race. Not even they're not Chinese. There's a Chinese Businessmen's Association, which is a racist organization working for the interest of Chinese. There's many organizations which are racist in nature, and yet the public doesn't realize this. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your own race.
One of our tasks is to put pressure on behalf of the overwhelming majority of citizens in this city who are not racist, who have no interest in being racist, to press our government officials and representatives to ban the Klan and outlaw fascism in this country and city.
Whites want to maintain white purity with or without the Klan's presence here. And these people are talking about ban the Klan. They should ban their own damn selves. They're just as much racist as the Klan.
What do you think of the anti-Klan rally in Toronto 5 weeks ago?
Well, I know it was run by communists, and so does everybody else. What else is new? Communists hate Klan. To me, if I was an ordinary man on the street and somebody's, with a red flag comes up and yells, let's go to the anti-Klan demonstration and kick those fascists out. You know what the first thing I'd do would be? Burn his red flag, kick him where it hurts, and run down and join the Klan. Because if the commies hate the Klan, then I'm all for the Klan, and I suspect most Canadians would be.
Racism exists in the police force of this province, in the police force of this city. We see the killing of Albert Johnson. We must ask ourselves if banning of the Klan alone can deal with racism. But that is a beginning.
Naturally, they're going to want to throw this kind of thing up. The Reds, they want to throw it up because that way they can get all right-wing groups banned. Maybe tomorrow they can get Joe Clark banned. Maybe tomorrow they can get the Orangemen banned. Maybe the next day, who knows?
Racists and fascists have no right to speak or organize. Racists and fascists have no right to speak or organize. Racists and fascists.
I think in a democratic society, they should have the right to organize and to speak out against the Klan, but in an intelligent manner. They should debate with the Klan.
Violence. United in action against racist and fascist violence.
January 25th, 1981, Yonge Street, Toronto.
Every day, maybe 4 or 5 hate calls. People who disagree with us so violently that they want to blow up one of our houses or shoot some of our people. And they accuse us of being violent. It's absurd. Of course, we don't take this seriously.
Jam to go the other way, man. Klan.
You know, if we're shot at, we shoot back. If there's a wrong, we right it. And if it takes guns to do it, as it does in national wars, international wars, sometimes it takes fire to fight fire.
Well, of course, I cannot justify every act of violence that anyone has participated in. In some cases, violence was met with violence. We defend ourselves. And if there's any violence, it's done purely in a self-defense manner. There have been other acts of violence that do not represent the Klan. If we want to condemn an entire organization because of an actions of a few individuals or a few people, then let's attack all the Christian religions because of the Salem witch burnings or the Spanish Inquisition. Let's not be hypocritical here.
What does the cross burning ceremony mean to you?
To me it means the power is going to come out of a burning cross. When the cross is lit, you can see that power, and anybody that sees that power, as you've seen them driving downtown or driving past the street here, when they seen that power, they stopped.
The cross lighting was used in the past when they did not have electricity, so of course they had a fiery cross. It's just a tradition among the Klansmen, and I don't think that there should be laws outlawing tradition. I think that's one of the things that kept the white man alive and gave him his sense of identity as a tradition of the past. And today we use the robes, again, in the sense of tradition.
Dear Lord, we thank you for all the good white people that came out here tonight to show Satan and all of his powers, all the money, all the gold, all the oil, everything he got in the world. He's still got some rebels right here. They're going to do their utmost to save the world from the satanic Jew and keep Christianity and the white race alive and well for all time to come. Amen.
No way, KKK! No way, KKK! Go away!
According to estimations, there are at least 700. The Attorney General Roy McMurtry to be here so that we could make our requests and our positions clear. I have just been told that he's out of town.
People like McMurtry, the Christian Zionist, would love to get rid of the Klan with the excuse that they're violent and have broken a law. We must bend over backwards not to break any law.
They are recruiting. They're recruiting right now, whether we ignore them or not, at Yonge and Dundas at the Eaton Center. They're recruiting at high schools during recess time. They're focusing on young children. And you're telling me that we should ignore them and they'll go away? They didn't in 33, and it is relevant what they did in 33 to 1980.
The government claims it does not have the authority to get rid of it.
The government has the authority to do it. There is a federal criminal code of Canada. The law is very clear. It stipulates that the dissemination of racial hatred is an indictable offense punishable by 2 years in federal penitentiary.
I've been through these hate literature trials before. I've been acquitted. I know the ropes better than these communist preachers.
I do not endorse the Klan. But if this is a free country, I would rather say that they should at least be allowed to come out into the open so people will know who they are instead of outlawing them and chasing them underground.
In Canada, there's only the Canadian Knights, the Ku Klux Klan. In the United States, there are actually over 300 different clans. We don't get any money from the United States at all. We receive all our funds from donations from whites or from companies, or we get it just through our membership dues.
How do you personally make a living then?
Well, the Klan doesn't pay any salaries to myself or any of the other full-time people. I make a living through various investments that I have, which I planned at least 5 years ago, and I may have to work a couple of days a month tending these investments. Other than that, I dedicate my entire life to white nationalism. I think Mr. Dildy speaks on behalf of the average black man in Toronto and, in fact, all of Canada. I think that the well-known Negro leaders in Toronto do not speak on behalf of the average black man.
Was it and national director of the Klan?
Would you please tell me your opinion of him?
I think he is a dedicated man towards the preservation of the white race. Now, so long as the destruction of the black race, he's all right. But just so he does not, destroy me in any way. I know what he's talking about. I understand that he wants to maintain white purity. That's fine. I want to maintain black purity. I don't. Many black people don't want to integrate with white people anyway. What's the big deal about integrating with white folks? Like, who are they? I mean, this integration bit, I'm not for that.
The reason we oppose integration is because it simply doesn't work. When it didn't work the first time through voluntary measures, well, the government said, okay, if integration doesn't work, we'll try forced integration. more integration. And that's akin to saying, well, if a person is suffering from a certain poison, we'll give him more poison, and maybe that'll help him. Well, integration.
A white person has a right to love. Stuff has been that in the past, whites' love of whites has rendered the black man in a position of inferiority, suffering, slavery, and death. To ask a white man for equality, that means that I automatically say that I'm inferior. I'm saying that you don't need to ask the white man for equality. Who the hell is the white man to qualify me? I'm qualified my own damn self. You must understand that the white man collectively has treated the black man over a period of 400 years the worst that any race could be treated. He is a criminal. He kidnapped black people from Africa. Kidnapping is a capital crime, and it's punishable by death. You know, he has murdered, lynched, robbed, and enslaved my people. Now, why should I want to integrate with the skunk?
Slavery still exists today in the African continent. It existed there for over 10,000 years. White people have participated in slavery, but white people ended slavery. And I don't think any Negro can ever say anything against the white people about slavery when they still have it existing in countries like Ethiopia and other parts of Africa today.
The first law of genetics says black is dominant and white is recessive, you know, which the black race is superior according to genetics. You see, I think it's to the black man's disadvantage because he dilutes his dominant characteristics when he intermingles with white people.
Sick, degenerate. As far as I'm concerned, if any of my offspring ever married like that, I consider my children to be as my carrying on after I die in this world. And if any of them were to become mongrelized, if one of my children married a nigger or any other kind of different person, I'd shoot them for their own good and for mine, because that would be a mistake for the rest of my. I couldn't live in heaven knowing that one of my flesh and blood had just turned into a nigger.
White people do not procreate their own seed as fast as other people do. The Chinese are the first and the black man is second. If it goes like this, then the white race would become extinct within several hundred years.
We are now only about 13% of the world's population, if that. White people breed at about 1.5% rate increase per year, and you need 2.2% just to recover from your natural death rate. We are an endangered species. We're dying out. Every generation we're losing 1/3 of our people. It's disgusting, and yet no one wants to discuss it.
The people of the planet Earth are a family. It is the white man that seems to be the only stranger on Earth.
They do not advocate white rights. They advocate white supremacy. There is a difference. Talk to them.
We feel that we are different from the blacks and other non-whites, just as they are different from us. They have a right to their own culture and heritage, to be considered as individuals among their own race, just as we also do. So let's not talk in terms of being supreme or inferior. If I was going to Africa, I'm sure the black man would be way ahead of me in existing in his environment, just as most likely, and it has been proven in the past, the North American white is superior, in a sense, to the African in living, working, reasoning in the North American environment.
White people even have a different scent than black people. I mean, that's a uniqueness about them, as I have my own uniqueness about me. But we are different. We are part of the human race, of course, but we are different.
The former head of Ryerson, Walter Pittman, did a report and a study, and he said the situation in Toronto with regards to race is explosive. I'd have to absolutely agree with him. Dr. Ubali, the head of the Ontario Human Rights Commission, who about 3 months ago became a Canadian citizen, who was himself an East Indian, said there will be race riots within 5 years because of angry blacks, and he did not mention the Klan at all. Either did Walter Pittman.
They speak with certain truths, things in which the ordinary white person would not tell you, but believes the Klan will tell you.
The problem is that white people and non-whites cannot live in harmony because we're totally different and alien to each other. There is no fancy pie-in-the-sky answer. We must separate the races. That is the simple answer to it.
They may not be very large today, and that is exactly another reason why we're mobilizing the citizens of the city against them. It is in order to make sure that their potential growth will not occur, that before they achieve a serious and substantive foothold in our city, they will be expelled from our city.
It's an ideology. You cannot kick out an ideology. As far as the people are concerned, I'm born here in Toronto. Most of the Klansmen I know are born in Toronto or Vancouver or other parts of this nation. You cannot kick us out of this country either.
We're just starting, and by the time winter is over, we'll kick the sons of bitches out of this town.
60 million people in the name of communism and communism's biggest force, equality. So the Committee for Racial Equality and other Communist Front organizations who attack us in the name of freedom of speech, they should be the last ones to talk.
Go. Okay. Okay, so let me get in position. Start asking questions. Okay, first of all, I'd like to know what is your profession and where do you work?
I'm a professor of sociology at Ryerson Polytechnical Institute in Toronto.
Okay, and the Communist Party of Canada is one of them. Would you consider yourself to be a communist?
Cut. It's over. The interview's over. Finished. Trevor, that's a low blow.
What's wrong with that?
Listen,
if we cut it...
I said cut. I am not a liberal.
You want it to cut? Cut it, Lenny. Done. It's cut.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Out!
What's wrong with that question? It looks like you're hiding something.
We're not... I am a communist and fucking proud of it and everybody knows about it. Fuck you. Go somewhere else.